Hey everyone, Malcolm here from Living Giant Productions. Today I want to help you decide which Peter McKinnon variable ND filter from Polar Pro is going to be right for you, whether it's the 2 to 5 stop or the 6 to 9 stop. When I was in the market for a variable ND filter, I didn't know which one I needed. Once I decided to invest the money in the Polar Pro system, I didn't know which one of those two I needed, the 2 to 5 stop or the 6 to 9 stop. The videos I found on YouTube usually only had one of the filters available and not both of them side by side. So I'm hoping today to give you a comparison side by side of which one you're going to need. That's why I want to give you a real world comparison between these two filters so you can make an informed decision about which one you're going to need if you can only get one. Now this video is not sponsored and I paid for both of these filters with my own money. Currently I'm filming on my A6400 with the 24-1.4 G Master lens. I have the camera set at 1080 and I'm recording at 24 frames per second. The camera's base settings are f16 at 1/50th of a second. We're shooting S-Log2, which has a base ISO of 500. Now, filming like this without any filter or any other diffusion other than I'm diffused by the sun right now is going to give you a very bright exposure. Sometimes you have to bump your shutter up or either not shoot in log and shoot at a lower ISO to help get these exposures on bright days like this. The advantage of a variable ND filter is you put it on the lens and it'll help bring in that light. It'll help bring down that light and it'll allow you to film at like say 2.8. So we're properly exposed right now at 1/50th at f16, but what if we go to 2.8? What's going to happen then? So let's move it and see what it looks like. Okay, with the camera set at f2.8, it's way overexposed. And we need to bring that down somehow, and we do that using a variable ND filter. So real quick, I'm just going to hold this filter up to the lens so you can see how the exposure will look. I'm going to use the 2 to 5 set at 5 right now for this image. You can see it pulls it into almost perfect exposure. So how do you calculate that? Let me show you. Okay, as you can see, we're filming right now at f16 1/50th of a second. The flashing 2.0 on your exposure meter means it's still overexposed slightly. Now you can correct this by cranking up your shutter speed a little bit and lock that down. But what we want to do is find out how many stops of exposure we actually need to get this image in proper exposure at f2.8. And what we're going to do is go ahead and turn it to f2.8 real quick. Okay, f2.8. Alright, so every click on your shutter adjustment by default is 1/3 stop of light. Now we're going to raise this up, see how many stops of light we need to get this camera in proper exposure. 1, 2, 3. That's 1 stop. 1, 2, 3. That's 2 stops. 1, 2, 3. That's 3 stops. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, big wind gust. That's 4 stops. 1, 2, 3. They're at 5 stops right now. It's still flashing a little over. Let's go one more. It pulls it in right there. So we need like 5.5 stops right now. Let's turn this back up and I'll hop back in front of the camera and put on the 5-stop filter. Okay, we're going to screw on the 2 to 5 stop filter. This wind is going to make it difficult. There's 2 stops of light right there. Let's move it up to 3 stops, 4 stops, and a full 5 stops. Now it wasn't quite enough on that one because it maybe we brightened the scene a little bit. Full 5 stops is still flashing a little 2.0. If I move my hand out, we stop flashing it. All right, now with me back in front of the camera, we're at exactly 5 stops of light and it's not flashing. We're perfectly exposed for S-Log2 with a positive 2.0 on our exposure meter. You can go online and find exposure meter graphs that show you different stops of light, whether it be aperture or by shutter speed. You can do it both ways. So the advantage of shooting at 2.8 is now the background is slightly blurred out and I'm more pronounced in the frame. Let's move to F14 and let's try the 6 to 9. All right, we're currently at 1.4. We're overexposed again. We can do the same thing as count our stops. And we're going to leave this filter on to see how many more stops of additional light we're going to need. Okay, we're currently at F14. We're going to see how many stops of light in addition to our 5 stops we're going to need to get proper exposure. So there's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's 2 stops of light so far. We're still not quite there. 1, and we're properly exposed. So we just need over just an additional 2.5 more stops. So that's just over 7 stops of light. Let's take this off. Let's screw on the 6 to 9 stop. It's currently set at 6. So the 6 to 9 stop filter is back installed. We're shooting f1.4 at 1/50th of a second. Where you can see our background is nice and blurry and we're properly exposed. So in conclusion, as a general rule, I've learned that if you're shooting a kit lens or an f4 lens, a 2 to 5 stop filter is going to be your best bet. If you have faster lenses that shoot 2.8 or your fast primes that shoot 1.8 and 1.4, then I'd highly recommend you get a 6 to 9 stop filter to take advantage of those wide apertures. If you find yourself shooting on f4 or even on 2.8 on a cloudy day, then a 2 to 5 stop is all you're going to need. Now just keep in mind that the time of day, the environmental conditions, your camera settings are all going to play a factor in how many stops of light you're going to actually need to get the correct exposures. Ultimately, it's up to you and what you want to do with your kit. After owning both of these, I would say that if I were to buy only one of them at this time, I would pick the 2 to 5 stop filter. The reason being is I can always bring my lenses back down to f4 or 2.8 on a cloudy day and still get the proper exposures. You don't need to use the 6 to 9 on those lenses. It'd be too dark. Also, if you're shooting B-roll at 120 frames per second or 60 frames per second, you're dropping light there on your shutter speeds. If you shoot 120 and you're shooting at 250th of a second, that's 2 stops of light you've already reduced. So you can get away with the 2 to 5 on most situations, even on a faster prime sometimes. That makes my decision to say that the 2 to 5 is the more versatile of the two. So with that being said, if you could only get one of them, I would pick the 2 to 5 stop filter to start with. Just because you can still stop down your lenses to f4 and get the proper exposures using that filter. If you really want to take advantage of your wide apertures and shoot it like f1.4 like I am right now, the 6 to 9 is a must. But if a budget's a factor in it and you want to make good films, then I would highly recommend the 2 to 5. Well, I hope this video helped you decide which filter is going to be best for you, whether it be the 2 to 5 or the 6 to 9 stop variable ND. If I can help answer any other questions about the process or help figure out how many stops of light you might need, or if I can help you any other way, please feel free to hit me up in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to help you out. I look forward to hearing from you, and thanks for watching.